Hey guys, it's Xentorogaming here, welcome back to another YouTube video, and today we're going to be going through reworks that are due to come to Infinite Flight soon. Now many of you may remember that a couple months back we had a vote on the Infinite Flight community, and that is where everyone voted what aircraft we would like to come to Infinite Flight, or what reworks. Now there were quite a few contesters on the aircraft for this, and that was a Boeing 777, the ATR-72, Airbus A330, Airbus A330, Airbus A380, Boeing 757, Boeing 737, Boeing 767, and the ERJ family. So these were all put up for votes, and the winner vote would have got a rework. Now, as many of us know, the Boeing 777 won the rework, so that's currently being reworked now. But all of the other planes, now Infinite Flight were considering doing them, or they wouldn't have put them up as a vote, so that's why I believe these aircraft may be coming through soon. And I'm going to go through them individually and explain why on all of these aircraft. So, as many of you may or may not know, at the time of this video being released, I'm currently in America on holiday right now in New York. So, apologies for that. I may not be able to respond to the comments for a week or two, so I do apologise about that, but I will be back shortly, and my holiday is not stopping these weekly videos that do occur on every Wednesday now. In case any of you guys haven't realised, I now release one YouTube video every Wednesday, and hopefully as the summer progresses it will be every Sunday and every Wednesday, so that will be really good. So, without further ado, the first aircraft I'd like to go into about the rework situation was the Airbus A330. Now, it's had a light rework recently, where we got wing flex on it, a few new liveries as well. Now, that was a good rework, but I believe the cockpit still needs some working, and the exterior decoration, like, they don't look like as good as the 787s or any of the other currently, like, aircraft that do look top class. So, like, the new CRJs, they look so good on the outside, but then the A330 on the outside, it's just not as attractive to fly. So that's why I believe that one should be reworked soon, and honestly, it got 12% of the votes. So that's really good. It was the most voted rework aircraft other than the Boeing 777. So I believe that may be one of the next aircraft that will be reworked after the Airbus A350 comes and a few more other stuff. 11% of people voted for the A380, which is our next aircraft on the list, which means 1% more of everyone who voted for the A330. So it was a pretty close vote for them too, so the A380 is one of the next aircraft to be reworked in Infinite Flight. It's amazing, it's one of the most famous aircraft in the world because of its double-decker floors. I think it'd be great rework. I definitely fly it lots more if it got reworked as with the A330. They could also add a few more liveries onto the A380, as it's a bit bland on its liveries right now, but we still have some amazing liveries like Etihad, Emirates, British Airways. Those three liveries are very commonly flown, also Qatar. My next group flight event as well will be an A380 event, so make sure you guys are ready, because that shall be happening in August. Giant event, live streamed on my channel and everything, so I do hope many of you can come along to that. So the A380, great, amazing aircraft. I can definitely see it being reworked soon. So by next summer, hopefully, we can have, progress or news on the rework coming to Infinite Flight. So that's the A380, and we can now. So that is all of the Airbus aircrafts for the rework are all out of the way now. So now let's go straight into our first Boeing aircraft, which again had 1% less of votes than the A380, which leaves it on 10% of the votes it had. Now that's 1/10 of everyone who voted, who wanted the Boeing 757 reworked. I'd love that aircraft reworked as well, but I voted the A220 to come to the game. But the Boeing 757, everyone knows it's an amazing aircraft. It revolutionised transatlantic flights, making them cheaper, more efficient for airlines, which made them way more popular. Now, it does need a rework. When you load into Infinite Flight with this aircraft, you look at it and you're like, that aircraft, it's not to the standards of all of the other aircrafts. Still a brilliant aircraft though, much better than many other flight simulators that are on mobile devices. Now, we're not expecting all of these aircraft to look like PC simulator stuff, but some of the aircrafts do live up to the PC standards, to be honest. I'm not going to name them yet, because that is saved for a later video where I'm going to go through all of that. But the Boeing 757, I'd love it reworked. So we can see that coming after the A330 and A380, getting them two Airbus reworks, because we're having a Boeing rework now, so two Airbus reworks would be quite nice, and then back into Boeing, but then we'd be followed by another Boeing rework, hopefully. So the Boeing 757, it just looks like it needs a rework. It looks a bit out of shape, out of place at the moment. The liveries on it as well, they're not amazing, but they're doable, they're livable, but it's not my go-to, aircraft for the transatlantic flights, unfortunately, in infinite flight right now. Well, that's Boeing 757 done. The Boeing 737 was next with, again, 1% less of the votes. It got 9% of the votes, which I'm not going to get a fraction like I did for the last one, because I am not able to do that because I'm not very smart. But 9% of the votes is still a very strong amount, but when you compare it to the 18% the Boeing 777 got, it's literally half the amount of people wanted that. I'm not sure why the Boeing 737 has been placed there, considering it's had a recently rather strong rework with the winglets, the wing flex, and a bit of livery work. So I'm not quite sure why it's there, but people wanted it, I guess. It does need a heavy cockpit rework, but cockpit reworks don't seem that hard, as we've been seeing the Airbus A330 and the Boeing 777. We've seen their cockpits basically first before we have anything else. I know it's hard to fiddle and get all their buttons in the right place, but I believe if they added the cockpit rework when they did wing flex with the Boeing 737, that aircraft would probably be one of the best aircrafts in the game right now. So, a cockpit rework on that would be ideal. It would be amazing. It's not my go-to transatlantic flight plane yet, but I would definitely be using the 737 transatlantic and for longer flights if they had a nicer cockpit in it, because when you're landing in the cockpit it's just not very nice. It's just kind of old and mudgy around, but I still love the plane. Everything Infinite Flight has made has been basically amazing, but some of their original planes that haven't been reworked do need a bit of rework, like the ERJ, which we're going to go into right now. Now, the ERJ, I love this aircraft. When I first got Infinite Flight, it was one of the first aircraft I flew after Air Berlin on the A320s. But other than that, the ERJ, I used to always fly in the Caribbean area. So any of you who are here before pre-global times, you know what I mean with the Caribbean areas. I flew the ERJ there everywhere. Like, I loved that plane for them little island tops. Now, the ERJ needs a rework. It's not a do you guys want one, it's more of a this aircraft needs a rework. Now, I know only 6% of people voted for it. Now, this is again going off of old stats. Now, if we did another vote, I feel like the numbers would be very different. I feel like this plane would maybe jump the 737 and the 757, so it'd have about 10 or 11% of the people voting for it, I believe. But again, it had 6% of the votes. Now, that's probably because the ATR and the A220 probably stole its thunder, because the A220 is much like it, and the ATR, it's not quite like its turboprop, but they're very similar. Now, the ERJ, great aircraft, everyone likes it. It doesn't look like Infinite Flight standards. Its cockpit needs some rework, its outside views need some rework. Wing flex on this aircraft would be like the ultimate thing as well. It would just be amazing, like such a small plane having some wing flex. I'd love that. That would just be amazing. Now, that's why that aircraft should be reworked, but it's definitely going to be coming soon because Infinite Flight put it on their vote, which means they were considering it. So that's the ERJ done. Now, the final aircraft is the Boeing 767, and I'm going to get straight into that. Now, the Boeing 767 got the least amount of votes. 1 out of every 20 people that voted for this aircraft. That means it got 5% of the votes. 5% is much more than 4%, and 3%, and 2%, and 1%, and no one. So it's still got a fair amount of votes, considering about 4,500 or something people voted. That's still quite a lot of votes. Now, compared to the Boeing 777, which got 20% of the votes, near enough, that's not much, but it's still got a lot of votes, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry about that. Now, the aircraft, it needs to rework. It looks a bit like the 757 on the outside now, It just looks like it wants that rework and it's asking for it whenever you see it in the game. Now those engines on it as well, they just kind of look like a blur. It's just like a circle, you know, the 737 engines, you see the fans, the blades, you see it all. It looks so nice, but, and then you get 767 like behind it. It's just like, you know, not Infinite Flight standards. I feel like Infinite Flight have upped their standards throughout the years, and the game has improved so much since when I first got it 3 years ago. You know, 3 years, a lot has happened to the game. You know, Global's come along, new planes have been added, all these reworks making these planes so much nicer, all these new liveries, you know, the Global, the new scenery and everything. It's just, you know, and also we got a scenery update coming soon as well, which I can't wait to come. Also, talking to previous updates, if you're still watching, I hope you guys are enjoying the X-Cub. I've not flown it much because it's not my piece of cake, but I still have flown it, but not recently. So I do hope you guys like this video. Just going to go over the aircraft that I can see coming as a rework soon to Infinite Flight. Airbus A330, Airbus A380, Boeing 757, Boeing 737, ERJ and the Boeing 767. All of these aircrafts I can see coming as a rework with Infinite Flight within the next 2 years. Hopefully all of these planes can be reworked. If you guys enjoyed this video, let me know by leaving a like, comment on the video. Please check out my merch. We've got summer merch now out, so make sure you go check that out. I'm going to play the advert as I always do at the very end. So that merch advert's going to go on. So thank you guys for watching. See you guys next week. I'm still on holiday next week, so it's going to be pre-recorded like this week's. But after that one, it will be back to normal videos that don't have to be pre-recorded. So thanks for that, guys. See you all soon.